everyone, ready to really sink our teeth into something. A topic that I think weighs on a lot of our minds.
Oh, going deep today. I like it.
Yeah, no more wading in the shallow end. We are diving headfirst into the world of student loans, figuring out how to not just pay them off, but, really conquer them.
It's a topic that honestly can feel like this huge, overwhelming thing. So much advice out there, it's hard to know where to even start. We're going to break it all down.
Exactly. So to help us navigate this, we've got two main sources for this deep dive. First up, some practical tips from Bankrate. I feel like they're the people you go to for real-world financial advice.
Yeah, Bankrate's great.
And then, hold on, because things get intense. We're going to crack open Anthony ONeal's book, Destroy Your Student Loan Debt. I mean, that title alone, right?
He is not messing around.
Not at all. But before we get to that, let's ease in with Bankrate's approach. Their first tip is all about making those extra payments, even if they're small.
And it totally makes sense because every little bit really does add up.
Okay, but be honest. Does it really make a huge difference? Or is that just something they tell you?
It makes a huge difference. The thing is, it's about being smarter than the interest, right? Interest is usually working against us. But when you make those extra payments, suddenly you're flipping the script. Even if it's just a little bit extra each month, you chip away at the principal faster. And that, my friend, saves you potentially thousands in interest over the life of the loan.
So it's like those small wins adding up over time. Okay, got it. Now, they also mentioned this thing about biweekly payments. Explain it to me like I'm 5, because is that not just a more complicated way to pay the same amount each month?
I promise it's not. Here's the thing. By splitting your monthly payment in half and paying every 2 weeks, because of how interest is calculated, you actually end up making an extra full payment each year.
Wow, wait, really?
It's true. It's one of those sneaky little tricks, and Bankrate is all about those sneaky tricks.
I am here for it. Okay, this one feels like a no-brainer. Bankrate talks about refinancing to try and snag a lower interest rate. I mean, on the surface, that sounds like a no-brainer, right?
Totally. Especially if you've got good credit, your income's stable, refinancing can be amazing.
But I'm sensing a but coming.
Here's the thing about refinancing. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. Because if you're refinancing federal loans, you might be kissing goodbye to some pretty important safety nets. Things like income-driven repayment plans or Music Cue, the Heavenly Choir, loan forgiveness programs.
Oh, loan forgiveness. Speaking of, Bankrate goes into all the different types, like public service loan forgiveness, teacher loan forgiveness. They can be very specific. So what's the key takeaway for our listeners? What do they really need to know?
Those programs, it's almost like winning the lottery, right? It's fantastic if it happens, but you don't want to, bet your entire financial future on winning the lottery. They often have very, very, very specific eligibility requirements. And then, on top of that, approval rates. Not always as high as we'd like them to be.
So hope for the best, but plan as if, like you said, those programs are a lottery win.
Exactly. So alongside those big, maybe one-day things, Bankrate also throws in some classic but crucial advice, like setting up automatic payments, picking up a side hustle, and the one we all love to hate, sticking to a budget.
Those all sound like solid life tips, even beyond student loans.
Absolutely. They really drill down this idea of financial discipline, which is key no matter what. Speaking of discipline, though, hold on to your hats because we're about to get into Anthony ONeal territory. And let me tell you, this guy, he does not play around when it comes to debt.
He does not. I mean, his book is called Destroy Your Student Loan Debt. And reading it, you can tell he means business. He straight up calls debt a thief that's trying to steal your future.
Yeah, strong words.
Strong but true. He even throws out these, almost scary statistics. Did you know that, the average student graduates with $35,000 in debt? That's a lot of potential future being stolen right there.
And I think a lot of people, it's easy to just think of it as, it's just another bill. You pay your rent, you pay your student loans. But it's not just money, is it?
No, it's not.
It's your time. It's your freedom, the things you could be doing, the dreams you could be chasing. Those are being held back by that debt.
Oh, okay, so we get it. ONeal's serious. Tell us about this debt snowball method he talks about.
Oh, the debt snowball. It's interesting because it's not what you'd think.
Yeah. It's not about going after, the debt with the highest interest rate first. Instead, he wants you to tackle the smallest debt first, regardless of the interest, which, I don't know, that kind of seems counterintuitive, right?
It does.
Yeah.
But ONeal, he's really smart about this. He understands that psychology plays a huge role in how we handle money and our wins. So think about it. When you knock out that smaller debt, You get this sense of accomplishment, right?
Yeah.
Like, boom, done.
Exactly. It's motivating. And that momentum carries you forward, makes it easier to then tackle that next debt and then the next one. Okay, so you build those positive vibes, you get those quick wins. Gotcha. Now, when it comes to actually finding the money to throw up these debts, O'Neill goes, should we say, a bit hardcore.
A little bit hardcore.
We're talking side hustles, maybe selling some stuff you don't need, basically anything to free up that cash flow.
Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He basically says, this is a battle, and you need to be prepared to fight for your financial freedom.
Love that. So it's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, at least for a little while.
It's that short-term pain for long-term gain. And one thing that really stands out in his approach is this emphasis on taking control.
Oh, yeah, he even suggests asking for a raise. I mean, talk about getting uncomfortable, right? But it shows a real commitment to changing your situation.
Exactly. And he's not just talking about earning more, he also dives headfirst into those expenses.
And when I say dives in, I mean, he really gets down into the nitty-gritty. It's not just, oh, spend less. He gives you a whole tactical plan for, like, how to stretch that dollar as far as it can go. It's tactical. Like, he gets into negotiating those bills, cooking at home instead of always ordering takeout, like even downsizing your living situation if you need to make some serious moves.
It's about finding those areas, right? Even if they seem small, those adjustments can snowball.
They really can. But, you know, even with all that, those loans can feel like this weight, you know? And O'Neill, he actually spends a good chunk of the book on those repayment alternatives, like those things that sound almost too good to be true.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's easy to get kind of seduced by the idea, right?
Especially when those monthly payments are looming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he really cautions against relying too heavily on those programs.
He's like, don't bank on it. Because, let's be real, those programs, they often come with like a whole novel's worth of requirements.
Oh, yeah. A bunch of fine print.
Like, I was reading about teacher loan forgiveness. You have to teach, like, specific subjects in low-income schools for a certain number of years. And even then, no guarantees.
And that's just one. Then you've got public service loan forgiveness. Amazing program, don't get me wrong. But you got to be on the right repayment plan, working for the right kind of employer, and paperwork. One little slip up, and it's a whole thing.
So O'Neill's kind of like that friend who gives it to you straight, like, hope for the best, but plan as if you're paying this thing off yourself.
Which, honestly, can be kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, taking control of your finances, having that plan, it's empowering.
Right. It's like, okay, this is on me, and I'm going to tackle it.
You're not relying on those external factors.
Yeah.
You know, it's all you.
Yeah. Love that. Now, he also gets into things like, you know, deferment and forbearance. Those sound like lifesavers when you're really struggling.
Yeah, those are really important tools, especially when you need a little breathing room.
Short-term relief, for sure. But he talks about the importance of understanding, like, the long-term impact.
Because it's not always as simple as just hitting the pause button.
Exactly. It's not like those loans magically disappear.
With deferment and forbearance, usually interest is still accumulating. So, yeah, you're getting that break, but your total debt could actually be growing.
Which is not what you want. And speaking of things that sound good but might not be, he even kind of disses loan consolidation a little, which I always thought that was supposed to be a good thing. Simplifying everything with one payment.
It can be helpful. Like if you have a ton of loans with all different interest rates, consolidation can streamline things.
Makes sense.
But, and this is a big but, consolidating often means stretching out that repayment term. So, yeah, your monthly payment might be lower, but you could end up paying way more in interest over the life of the loan.
Oh, so it's like that trade-off. You think you're winning, but you might be playing the long game in the wrong direction.
It's about looking at the bigger picture.
Exactly. So we've talked about the potential downsides of relying too much on those programs, those deferment options, even consolidation. So where does that leave us? What's O'Neill's big solution?
Okay, so it's not really a secret, but it's about tackling it from both sides. Increase your income and slash those expenses. It's about being aggressive.
Okay, so back to the side hustles, selling things on eBay. Is that what we're talking about?
I mean, that's part of it, but it's more about being strategic, you know? Like he even talks about maybe you need to find a higher paying job in a different field. Or, this one's scary, but negotiating a raise with your current employer.
Yeah, talk about putting yourself out there, but I guess it shows you're serious.
It's about understanding your worth and then, on the other side of the coin, being just as ruthless with those expenses.
It's about taking control. Right.
Right.
Not just waiting for things to get better, but like making those things happen.
100%. And on the expenses side, he breaks it all down, like really specific steps to actually make your money stretch.
Because it's easy to say spend less, it's harder to actually do it.
He gives you the tools.
Mm.
From like negotiating your rent to, embracing those generic groceries. It's all about finding those little things that add up over time.
It's the small, consistent changes, right?
Exactly. And I love that he's big on meal prepping too. Saves you money and helps you eat healthier. Win-win.
Oh, meal prepping is a game changer. It's amazing how much money disappears when you're just ordering takeout because you're tired.
The worst. But speaking of things that can sabotage our best efforts, O'Neill also talks about those money traps.
Yeah. Oh, those sneaky things. Like what? Give us the rundown.
Okay, so we've got those too good to be true offers like, you want a free cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Then there are payday loans, which can feel like a lifesaver in the moment, but come with those crazy high interest rates.
Don't even get me started on those.
And then those credit card reward programs. Sneaky, sneaky. They make you feel good, but they can also trick you into spending more than you can afford.
It's so easy to fall into those traps, especially when you're already feeling financially stressed.
And that's why O'Neill stresses this idea of knowledge. Arming yourself with information so you can make smart choices.
Knowledge is power, right. Okay, but one of the things that really struck me about his book is how much he talks about mindset. Like, it's not just about the numbers, it's about your relationship with money, too.
It's huge. He's big on having a why, like a really strong reason for wanting to be debt-free.
Okay, so not just, I want more money. It's got to be deeper than that.
Yeah, because when things get tough and you need that strong why to keep you going. He also talks about the importance of community, like finding your people who get it, who support you.
Because let's be honest, paying off debt, it can be a grind sometimes.
Totally. Celebrating those small wins is huge, too.
Every little bit counts.
He shares these amazing stories about people who've used his methods to completely transform their finances. Like, there's this one couple, they paid off, get this, over $233,000 of student loan debt in just 25 months.
Are you serious?
I'm telling you, it's mind-blowing.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from Bankrate's practical tips to O'Neal's, battle plan for debt.
Right.
What's the big takeaway for our listeners?
I think if you're feeling overwhelmed by student loans, and so many of us are, you're not alone, first of all, and you have more power than you think to change your situation.
It's about taking that ownership we were talking about, right?
100%. Don't let these loans define you. Get informed, make a plan, and get started.
It's a journey, but you got this. And that wraps up our deep dive into student loans.